Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of the Boring Enterprise Nerdcast. As you can see, we have fantastic guests with us today. So our host, as usual, are myself, Elena Perfileva, and Paul Moderman, and our honorary guests are all the way from Australia. It's Paul Hardy, who's a man who does not need introductions, I guess, in SAP space. And as a special treat from, I believe, from the US side, Jim McDonough is joining us. Jim is well known from back in the days, SAP community, writing blogs about ABAP development. And Jim, I believe you also have self-published book as well on that subject. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. I have
Awesome.
two books available now, and I had one through SAP Press that's no longer available because they changed everything since I wrote it.
That's a plight of SAP
Yeah.
book writers. Excellent. All right. So, as you know, since SAP TechEd, that's a premier event of the year for SAP Tech ESL everywhere. It's ended in Europe, in Australia. We have gathered here today to kind of talk about the aftermath and about what happens there, and talk about all the news and I mean everything TechEd. So whatever guys, whatever guys you have, whatever opinions you have on the tech, it just lays this on us. And just to give you some background, so Jim and I, we did not go in person this year to any location, so we will be just sharing whatever we heard or seen online. And Paul Moderman got a chance to attend in Berlin, and Paul Hardy just told us he just got back from Sydney. So I'm super excited to hear about that. So let's hear from the people who were there actually in person. So Paul Moderman, why don't you start us with your Berlin impressions?
And by the way, maybe in this call you can call me Yankee Paul,
Yankee
and
Paul,
then
okay.
Yankee Paul
Yeah,
and
yeah, okay.
Brit Paul. Yeah. Um.
And I,
Uh.
I'd be Pommy Paul.
Pommy Paul.
That's what
Okay.
they call.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what they call. That's what they call English people in Australia. They call us Poms.
Palms.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. You learned
I,
something, right?
guys, we're just starting off with education, coming on hot. I had no idea it was a thing, so that's good to know. Um. So I will offer. Like my first one is a small one. My first observation or whatever. So I go to I do my best. So I was at the Berlin Tech Ed this year. Um, and so I did my best because I was there as a vendor. So I didn't go to very many like small sessions, but do my best to go to like the big keynote type things. Um, and I I don't know how long this has been a thing for SAP. I don't know. But during the big production things with the techno music when Philip Herzig comes out or whatever, they have their little slots during the thing. And then they have these people called demo experts come
Yeah.
out in the thing. And what I noticed is, at least for the ones I paid attention and saw, that this person is a demo expert. They're sitting at a computer, at a keyboard. They are not typing the thing. They're still just advancing a little,
Yeah.
like essentially
Oh,
video, right?
Yeah.
There's a demo expert writing up a prompt for Joule in like a couple of things I saw,
Yeah.
and they would say, "Okay, my scenario is blah blah blah, such and such. I'm a analyst who does blah blah blah," and then they say, "First, I'm going to ask Joule blah blah blah," and then they hit a button, and like 52 words appear in the prompt that
Yeah.
they did not type in that moment, right?
Yeah.
So from the jump, you're watching it and you're going, this isn't really happening right now. This
Yeah.
this is just
it's
like,
not. It's not a live demo.
it's not a
Right?
Yeah.
demo. And this poor person is built as a demo expert. And buddy, that is not a demo. That's not what a demo is. Like
Because
if
at
you're
live, you can tell a live demo because it goes wrong.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I would appreciate it more if the demo screwed up somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
But
it makes it real. It makes it real.
But instead, you have a person whose job is to look nice, talk nice, and essentially click the arrow on their keyboard to make the next thing happen on the screen.
Yeah.
And that person is billed as demo expert
Yeah.
in the thing.
Yeah.
Oh
And
dear.
yeah. So my heart kind of goes out to those people because they work hard and they prep hard, but anybody watching is like, bro, you're not doing it. That's not a demo. So that's my first. Uh, I don't have many of them usually, but that's a pet peeve of mine that I
Mm.
just discovered this time around. Is the demo expert is anything but a
Yeah.
demo expert.
Yeah. That's just super weird. Yeah, I
Well,
was
they might
wondering.
be an
Yeah.
expert, but they're not doing a demo.
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure they're great at it. I mean, they are great at
Yeah.
explaining a thing,
Yeah.
but they're not demoing it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I just watched recording. I was wondering if it might have been just edited or something, but yeah, but I guess not. So yeah. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, and thank you, Paul, for that. So Paul Hardy, tell us please what happened in Sydney.
Well, first of all, just going back on that, I went to a UI5 demonstration about the testing, the VDI5
Yeah.
testing frame, right? And that he completely screwed up, right? The whole thing fell on its face. But that proved he was doing it. He
Yeah.
was actually doing it live,
Yeah,
right? Which
Yeah.
is
yeah,
which is great. And they went, so they had to, when he stopped, they had a commercial break, as it were, in the middle of it, where they were advertising other things that were coming up in TechEd, while he desperately tried to get the thing working again. Right,
Yeah.
but it proves A, that it works, and B, that it's more whatever he was demonstrating was more difficult than you might think. Right,
yeah,
which is useful information. It
Yes.
really is. All
yeah,
right, because you want to know that. You want to
Yeah.
know that it's not as easy as falling off a log, which is what SAP people would tell you, right? Generally speaking. But if it's a what I call real person doing a demo, then yes, you have a big dose of reality. See what happens now, just as a background, is as you know, SAP used to do 3 TechEds a year, one in like
yeah,
Bangalore or somewhere like that,
yeah,
one in Las Vegas, and I don't know, one in like Barcelona or somewhere like
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Now they've gone to like what's it called, SAP TechEd on tour, right? In more places, and I've got to say though, the one here in Sydney, which I've been to for the last 3 days, was just as good as the ones I've been to in Las Vegas and what have you. And it
Hmm.
even had the same sort of people like Thomas Young and Rich Hellman and the guy with the blue beard and things,
Yeah.
which you would get. And I was very, very impressed. They had all the same things, hands-on sessions, and the important thing as well is a load of customer case studies. If I've got
mm,
SAP trying to sell me something versus an actual customer that's done something, I'll go to the customer every single time,
Every time.
right?
yeah, yeah,
Every time.
yeah,
And I will say, just as a general observation of this thing I've just been to, right? It, with these things, sometimes you get like you've got a choice of 3 sessions to go to, or sometimes 5. All right. And in some places I've been to, you all 5 are rubbish. And you think, well, I'm going to the bar. And in this case, even though I'm an alcoholic, right, I never felt that urge, right? Because I always thought that, if anything, there was like 2 or 3 I wanted to go to, and I've got to pick one, right? And the bar didn't even come into it. So, so that
that's
was good.
that's a sound endorsement, Paul. You should put that in the title. I haven't even thought of the bar. That's very cool. Awesome. So Jim, I know that just like me, you were left behind by this cycle of tech ads. But what is your kind of impression like after the event ended? What are your thoughts?
Well, I guess it shows the distinction between what Paul Hardy went to as opposed to what Paul Mutterman went to as far as the demos go. Apparently, down in Australia, they have a lot more live demo, things that could go wrong. Whereas the one in Berlin, perhaps, Paul, you could tell me if I'm correct about this, was the demos were not much better than a PowerPoint presentation where you just hit the cursor and
Yeah.
go to the next
Yeah,
slide.
Well,
yeah,
and it may be the case that the headliner type keynotes have the canned thing, and maybe some of the non-headliner keynote things are more like risque or whatever you might want to call it, where you can like it might explode in your face kind of thing. So that could be one explanation, but uh, because I'll say this too is that I didn't get a chance to go to many sessions because I was parked at a booth like explaining the thing we
Mm,
were selling. You know what I mean?
mm,
So I tech ed was not as much ed for me as it was, hey, buy our thing,
yeah.
right? Kind of stuff. So that
Yeah.
also affected my it affects my perspective on it, right? So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's, I mean, you totally get different experience depending on what's your role in
Hmm.
attending. Because I
Hmm.
happened to be going to TechEd before pandemic when it was in Vegas for a few years, and we met with Paul Hardy there in person, I think a couple of times, and it was different experience going there as a mentor, for example, versus going after I left mentors or going as a presenter, et cetera, et cetera. Just one thing, I don't want to talk about this a lot because it ends in a huge rant for me every time TechEd starts. I was watching this keynote on YouTube, and at the end, I felt just extreme urge to do like a parody video on it because it was just totally like hilarious and just so easy to make fun of with all those, robotic moving executives wearing,
Mm.
Snow White conference sneakers and
They've
like,
they've they've been coached. They've been
yeah,
coached on their hands, right?
they
They've
have
been
been,
coached
yeah,
on where to put their
yeah,
hands
yeah,
when they
like
talk.
how you move your
Yeah. Oh
hands,
my
you move
gosh.
hand
Yeah.
here, and they have been coached into oblivion, into
Yeah.
like be not looking human anymore
Yeah.
and smiling like, some kind of psycho stapled their, I don't know, their mouth there. And then this boom, 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 that music where,
Yeah. When they walk on.
another
Yeah.
person, and
Yeah.
those awkward customers who are there and like they're, sleepy and they don't want to be there, and they're like, or those, yeah, those demos that were not actually demos and were just totally staged, and you could see that. So and
Yeah.
and again, I just thinking back to the event that I attended in Vegas, and where keynotes were done by Bjorn Gorke, and I admit I talk about this every year. I'm as a totally, admittedly fan of Bjorn Gorke. I mean, he was totally charismatic, well-respected leader, and when he did keynote, and it's not even about this huge production. I know he's been criticized for like spending tons of money and doing just huge like Star Trek or Martian themed. Every time there was some kind of sci-fi theme to his keynote. But the main difference after Gorky keynote, I felt inspired at the end. I felt, I mean, yeah, there is always element of
Yeah.
selling, and there's always
Yeah.
another Leonardo every year. But in the end, I always felt like, you know what? Kind of, I respect that. Like, dude put a lot of effort. He's clearly passionate, and that passion kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. Even though, again, I was going sometimes as customer, and okay, I'm looking at technologies that I'm not going to see for 5 more years probably.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's different vibe. But that element was just, there was zero of feeling inspirational after this keynote this year. And
Mhm.
again, I don't want to again criticize, especially current executives don't want to get on their bad side. But guys, I mean, find someone who can inspire people. I think just SAP will score huge bonus if they do that. So yeah.
I have to say, at the one I went to this week, the keynotes were brilliant, right?
Yeah.
And they weren't because they weren't by SAP,
Oh, okay.
right?
Well, duh.
Obviously there would be an SAP person, but they'd only be going on for 15 minutes or something, and then there'd be what I call a real person. On the first day, it was something called esports, which I don't know anything about, but apparently it's an enormous thing, bigger than the Super Bowl and all that, with loads of money. It's these gamers, and you get a stadium full of people who pay to go and watch them play video games and things, and they use SAP for all sorts of things, right? And you think that wouldn't have any relevance to, like, normal things like banking or construction or what have you, but they managed to make a connection and say, well, we use it for this, but you could use it for that and things. And again, because it was a real person rather than SAP, that was
100%.
Yeah.
that
100%. Yep.
a lot. You obviously you had little speeches by SAP and little speeches by the sponsors, but only like 15 minutes or something. And then the main things were by real people, and that was great. And the second day was a guy who worked with or disabled people who couldn't move, only their eyes or what have you. And he did things like, the reading the brain waves.
Oh, yeah.
Or look, and he said, apparently the eyes are even better. Right? Said it, and he demonstrated his robot or something that you look at the screen and it presses a key that you're looking at. And he got someone from the audience to demonstrate that anyone can do it. Right? And that was good. And even better, a little bit later on, when the woman was closing the thing down, the robot came to life by itself. And it terrified her. Right. I think it would have scared me as well. You could see it. You could see its eyes started shining. And that was anyway, but that was good. It was a very, very good event. And at the end of it, right, on the very last day, which was yesterday, right, I was talking to one of my colleagues there, and I said, have you got a big list of things that we can do when we get back to the office? And she said, yes, I have. And I thought, me too, right? And I thought, well, that's great, because this thing would cost, it didn't cost me anything, but it would cost a company like $3,000 or what have you.
Yeah.
For a ticket for that. And so you need to get more than $3,000 worth of benefit out of it, because you've also got the opportunity cost of people not doing their real job while they're there.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, did this was a payback positive? And I said,
So
probably.
Paul, let me ask you this. What can you give us a taste of the things that you are kind of like putting in your backpack and bringing back to the office to like try or apply to your colleagues or whatever, what have you? Like, what did you take from your, because like I said, I was a vendor. I was not getting as much education as I was, shilling stuff. But what are you taking back? One or two things that you are taking back to like inject life into your universe?
Oh, the main thing we're doing next year is the S4 HANA migration. We haven't started. We're starting in January, and there were two things kept running through all the presentations. One which is completely irrelevant to me, and one which is relevant. The irrelevant thing is the AI stuff. I'm still playing with that. It's not real for me yet, and it might not be real for a. The other thing is that the so-called clean core concept, right? Which is not a new thing, but that came up in almost every presentation, right? And it's not what people think it is, because it's not a new idea, right? And one thing is, Yelena once did a post about the new, what was it called, ABCD model for is that how nonsense it was. They actually have to say they explained it very well indeed, right? And from being a cynic like yourself, I became a convert, in fact, and said, oh yes, this actually makes more sense than it did before, and this is what we've got to do, right? Because people got the wrong idea about the clean core. Some people think it's about getting rid of as much Z code as you can, but that's not true. As Laura said, you can have a house that's full of stuff and it's clean. You can have a house that's only got a few things in it, but it's really dirty. And there's one of the speeches was about, he said, the problem isn't clean core, the problem is rubbish code. That sounds right. That sounds right to me. And so again, people get loads of recommendations about what to do, what things to look for. It starts with the obvious things like repairs, as they call it, which is that's a euphemism. A repair is a hack to the SAP. Right? Get rid of those implicit enhancement points. Right? Things that really do stop upgrades right in their tracks and all that. They have to say upgrades aren't they say the whole point of life is upgrading easily. They say, well and good. What do you get out of an upgrade? if you don't use any of the new stuff. And most people don't, you know. So we're spending all this bloody effort and make an upgrade easier. And then, all right, it's great. It's easier to get new functionality you don't use.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And by the way, if anyone is wondering why Paul and Jim have laundromat in their background, that's kind of a nod to the clean core concept, I guess. Or I mean,
yes. We want clean code. We want clean code, right? That's which is it's a subtly different thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The whole thing is that the clean core thing is not a new idea.
Yeah.
Even when I started in 1997, they were saying like, don't
Don't muck it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
So they're just articulating it better, shall we say?
Yeah.
That's the way. And the other interesting thing that was mentioned, which again my colleague's she was tempted, motivated to try it out, because she'd never even heard of the thing before, was the fact that SAP have done a pivot away from ABAP in Eclipse or ADT towards VS Code. VS Code is now the future, which is a bit of a change, shall we say? And I've known it because I've written about it in my books, and you've been able to do ABAP in VS Code for I don't know, almost 10 years now because of plugins.
Yeah.
It's been the community that's been driving that.
Yep.
Yeah.
SAP, it's all community plugins, and I bet the SAP one won't be as good as the community one. And the community one's free, and I bet SAP is going to charge.
Yeah,
So
we did
Jim, I saw you react to this too, the Eclipse and VS Code. What's your reaction to that little bit of news?
Well, I don't use VS Code or Eclipse at my work. I just use whatever you call it, the SAP GUI, I guess it is. Right?
Team GUI represents.
Good old SAP GUI.
Yeah, SAP GUI. So I know there's a lot of things that either Eclipse or VS Code can do and do a lot better that I have not yet had a chance to try it out to see how nifty it really is. So I can't really speak about it intelligently.
Okay. This is something.
SAP's reasoning for going to VS Code is they say, again, it's all to do with AI, and it works better in VS Code than it does in Eclipse, which I wonder about, but then that's their excuse anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this at least on the ground at the moment, I think there's a lot of people in Jim's seat in this world where, like, even myself, like, I'm a relatively forward-looking, like, tech nerd kind of guy. So I've tried all the VS Code plugins. I've used Eclipse and all these things all the time. I really enjoy them. But, like, my instinct, if I was to go on to autopilot, my instinct is still to click the SAP logon thing and, like, go to SE80. And then I have to go, oh wait, God, I have that in the other thing. Like I still have to, like, reroute my brain toward whatever those other things are for that, right? And I can see the utility, but, like, if your muscles are loose and flexible in SAP GUI, it just feels natural to be there, right? Yeah.
And I kind of predicted that that's going to be a news, even though I had no idea. So no one broke their NDA or anything. It was just kind of feeling there in the air that would be logical thing to do. And I had that thought when I took the training course that was originally posted on Open SAP, but it was moved to SAP's learning website for some time. It was about Fiori elements. So it's actually very, very good course. So if it's still there, I hope that people can find it. And as part of it, so a lot of it is done in Eclipse because it's CDS views and annotations and all of that. But I was wondering, how would you do something that's more advanced? And they started with course saying, okay, yeah, you can do some more features there that do not involve CDS use annotations. I'm like, okay, well, let's see it. And then I just fast forwarded to that section, and then like, wait, hold on a second, that's not in Eclipse, that's VS Code. So they did something in Eclipse and just dropped it. and opened another IDE to do something there that's connected to the things that they have just done in a different IDE. And like, and you're like all in SAP, you work together, that makes sense to you somehow. Like, why didn't you just say, like, hold on guys, why can't we just do everything in one place? So to me, doing everything in one place as much as possible, that's the only way to drag people away from GUI, if anyone wants to do that. Eclipse wasn't that, because exactly for this reason, because it was never one ID for anything. It was, yeah, you have to go there, you must go there to do CDS views, but that's about it. If I want to do a class, I would rather open SAP GUI because it's just more convenient for me. I'm just glad that SAP finally realized that it was not great direction and redirected. So yeah, I think Paul, I see you have something to say about this.
If you've got to force somebody to do something, that says everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's really good. They go and do it themselves, right? But it's a, okay, I'm going to force you to. The only way you can do this is to go into Eclipse, right?
Yeah.
And so that says, as I said, that says everything you need to know. Right? It's like it's got to be better, and then people will gravitate to it naturally.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. It doesn't seem like a difficult concept to grasp, but apparently for great minds at SAP, it's something like, because it went like, oh, SAP, like, oh, behold, Eclipse ID, you can do ABAP in Eclipse. And like, okay, can we do everything there? Oh no, you cannot do this and this and this and that. Okay, then we, we'll keep using SAP GUI. Oh no, we want you to use Eclipse, but but then like, make it more appealing for us. Don't just force us to do things. So
For the last 5 years, again at TechEd, in the keynote, they didn't say that, little tiny useless things added to ABAP. Plus, oh look, an ADT. We've added this feature that's been in SE80 for 30 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, finally available.
And they expect us to get up and give them a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Which also, okay. So again, I hate to sound like this guy, whatever this guy is like. So speaking of standing ovations and things, keynote pet peeve for me is when the speaker stops and goes, "No, it's okay. You can clap. You can clap."
Oh my
I
God.
hate that.
Oh,
I hate
oh my
that.
no.
goodness.
I hate that.
Oh,
Don't do that. Never do that.
oh
If any
man.
of us become C-level VPs or whatever the hell, like, and you're giving a speech, never do
Oh
that.
my gosh.
That's
Oh my
Never
horrible.
do that.
Horrible.
that I was
Look how great am I? God.
I was watching
I've,
YouTube. I'm
I've seen
like, really, don't do
I've
that.
seen people do that. Right? I've been fortunate. I've even seen developer advocates do that.
Yeah.
They demonstrate something, some new feature in ABAP or whatever, and then pause and say to the audience, "Look, how great is this?" Pause. Because
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
expecting.
And
Uh,
yeah, they
yeah.
have pause for applause in their prompter.
yeah.
So it's like, but yeah, I was watching, like, it's like, give me a bucket. I just want to throw up. It was so cringe. And like, and again, not to beat the dead horse, but Bjorn Gurke never had to do that. People would voluntarily applaud to something because they liked it, because it was exciting, it was fun, and because he was passionate. I'm pretty sure he didn't even need to do like whole like production with, appearing in the smoke or anything, even though it was freaking awesome. But just your passion shows, and when you just come out just because you have to be there because you're in this role, it just doesn't work, guys. So I don't know, just find someone who's passionate, let them do the keynotes. So, and save yourself for Sapphire. That's where
Yeah.
fun goes to die. So
Pull
I've
that
got a
BS
fun.
there. Yeah.
yeah.
I've got a fun fact for you, Yelena. Right?
Okay, go for it.
You're talking about Bjorn York, and he did one from the bridge of the Starship Enterprise one
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
They built the set there, and then he was in the captain's chair and all this sort of thing. And where did that set end up? It ended up in the canteen in
Oh.
Waldorf. in the SAP's head office. No, that they
Wow.
and so you could like you could have your dinner there, right? If you
Wow.
want. Right, just that's irrelevant to anything, but at least
Oh,
it
that's
wasn't thrown
awesome.
away.
Yeah. So if anyone, guys, happens to be at Waldorf, take a picture. I don't know if it's still there, but that honestly, that would be just super
That
awesome.
would be
Cool.
super cool.
Yeah, fun times. All right. So I have a SAP's innovation document here. I'm wondering if we can just take a look at it at the moment. I
Mm,
just wanted to point out like the sheer kind of volume of that thing. So let me see if that works. All right. So this is what SAP puts together, I think, after every TechEd. This is essentially huge list of everything that has been talked about there, everything that's been announced, everything that has not been announced at Keynote, but is being announced in this guide. We'll get a link in the video for anyone who wants to look at it. But I was just quickly scrolling through it and just look at the kind of table of content.
mhm.
Business applications, business AI, business data cloud. Did you not get this is about business?
Yeah.
It's business transformation management. And did we mention business before? It's business technology platform. Somehow it's not a business learning and not business services. That's a big miss on marketing side. They should have they should be able to weave that in, I believe. But I don't know if you're seeing. So just a scroll bar here, this piece is just enormous. It's
Mm,
just gigantic list. And I guess you can like take ChatGPT and just say like, hey bro, like summarize it for me, probably. Um, but so just huge amount of stuff there. And let me just see, I'm just curious what's there for business AI. Yeah, so some Joule stuff. So Joule stuff, it was surprising to me there wasn't more about it, but I guess SAP had that bigger announcement of that strangely named thing that they call like Rapid one, like RPT or
mhm,
whatever. That's somehow overshadowed even Joule announcement.
mhm.
So yeah, I don't know, Paul, if you have any kind of thought on that thing. Uh,
So, okay, so two things. One thing is with this thing we're looking at right here.
yeah,
Um, uh, if you click through, I'm not saying we have to do this in the video
yeah.
right now, but if you click through and down to the details of all of those subcategories and you look at the little things, you'll be hard pressed. You'll be hard pressed to find something even in the other buckets that are not business AI where the little sub bucket is not also AI something,
Yeah, yeah,
right? AI dominates the conversation here. And I say this, by the way, every time we talk about this, I say this. Like, I am like the most Kool-Aid drinking, I am the most AI forward, I am the most like, you could drop me in the middle of like an AI conference and I would forget to go home, right? I'm that guy. I'm for sure that guy.
yeah,
But but when I saw this and when I look at these things, I'm like you guys do other stuff too though, right? Like that's the reaction I have with it
yeah,
because there's still like a composability thing here, right? In other words,
yeah.
if you're doing AI something, fill in the blank, which is the blank is everything these days, but fill in the blank, like you have to like make the building blocks out of something for that. And SAP, I think, probably should still be telling us a little bit more about like the sub building blocks of things
Yeah.
that go in there. So that's one thing. So but I can share a little bit about Rapid One too, because I've been looking at this a little
Oh,
bit.
playground. All right.
Yeah, so there's a playground here, and if you guys haven't seen it, what Rapid One is, so it is based on the transformer architecture. So it's the same high level AI architecture as ChatGPT or Claude or those popular chat things, but it's not like autoregressive like those are. And autoregressive means that it takes its output and then builds upon its own output over and
Mm,
over and over and over again, right? This style of transformer for this purpose is like filling the blanks in
mm,
things. So what you do is you um you have and it's trained on like tabular uh data. And then what you do is you instruct the model, here are the blanks I want you to fill
Mm.
in this. So you give it up to like 100 or 200 rows or something. I think if you read the paper, you can get up to, I think it was trained on 1024 tokens, but in the playground, they actually let you go up to 2000 rows at 50 columns. That's the sort of the context size
Mm.
of this one. If you think about ChatGPT, and you can only put a certain amount of stuff into ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
This of course has the same kind of requirement, but it's not shaped the same way. But it does have a limit of what it can do in there. So anyway, so what you do is you go in there, and you can use your own data, but I don't have like data sitting around I want to predict like little blanks in. So I'm just using the example here. And then you click the little predict button here, and everything that had the predict marker gets a value in the prediction run. And you can mark like lots of things as, oh, let's see, I have to move my little. So I could instead say, okay, predict the product here of this thing. Yeah, leave me alone. But you already tried to sell me something. Okay, great. Um, and oh, look at that. So did you notice what happened there? You have to be a little bit careful with this stuff because before I changed that to predict, that product was laptop,
Mm.
and it just changed to monitor. Now, that's like that's probably a bad use of prediction anyway. I don't think that would be a good use of it here for this data. But it is also something like it's just like ChatGPT, just like Claude or whatever. It's not magic. It's not like you can say, just give me good information and whisper nothings into its ear and get stuff. You have to have like a theory of what you're going after and then be smart about how you do it to get this stuff. And this is a playground, so like in API land, you would use a programming language to sort of assemble this data and then put in the little markers for what you want to predict in there, right? But this also gets to what I observed about this too, which is like this is interesting in sort of a technical sense, and it's kind of cool that this uses so this is a 22 million parameter model. The biggest one I think is 22 million parameters. Oh yeah, 22 million parameters. All of the state of the art AIs are at least 1,000 times bigger than that. At least 1,000 times bigger than that. The ChatGPTs, the Claudes, even their small versions are 1,000 times bigger than that. Because this is not cramming in a bunch of like extra knowledge about the world and everything. This is just doing this one task. So it is much, much, much more energy efficient and much, much more performant
Mm.
than like a ChatGPT or whatever, right? So that's an interesting point too. But where I was going with this is that what I didn't get, and maybe I missed the session, but what I didn't get was like, okay, but like what are you baking this into your products, SAP,
Mm.
Hmm,
right? Well,
that's the
I
$1 million.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
and like and
Billion USD
I admit
question.
I admit that I did not like I wasn't able to seek that answer out, right? But as of right now, I still don't have an answer to that question. I still don't know, like, okay, where does this go from what this is, which is like kind of an interesting little demo,
Yeah.
to like slot this into your universe or create a new thing from it. What is that?
Yeah.
And so far, that's not the case.
It sounds like you're describing that this is a solution in search of a problem.
It at least from what I mean, yeah, Jim. At least from what was shown and what we can do to like okay, like now 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 that we're saying business 1,000 times for every product category, everything, right? Like put business in front of this and tell me where this goes, right? I don't know yet. And and I'm trying not to be like poo-poo it, right? Because it's based on like they're doing research on it. They're putting out the research and putting out these, but this is also going to be a released model for people to use. So I think SAP would do well to like really construct some scenarios and like by the way, what we found was it's really cool when you do such and such a thing with this.
Yeah.
Well,
There's a start for that. There's some things here, but I don't. I think they probably deserve some more TLC from the show and tell standpoint on that.
there's 2 points here. There's 2 points here. First of all, it doesn't surprise me at all that Joule is already yesterday's news, and this thing is now the new shiny thing, and forget everything that went before.
Hmm.
And secondly, as you say, right, it's all well and good, making some pretend problems and solving them. But what you really need to do is in secret go to one of your like lighthouse customers like Heineken or someone like that, the ones who get a huge discount by in return for trying out new SAP products, and then say, "Oh, you Heineken, find a problem. Here's a
Yeah,
solution.
yeah.
Come back when you've got one." All right, and then we'll go bananas with the marketing.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. And I find it interesting to sometimes just reflect on what happened after TechEd before, because we can usually see some trends there, because almost after every event there was something like that, like infamous Leonardo, of course. That's just the most extreme case where it was like everywhere, but then nobody cared and it went away naturally. So every time I'm thinking, what's next Leonardo? I don't want to say this one is, but just talking about examples, I was thinking back, like before COVID TechEds, there was always a digital boardroom presentations that one
Oh yeah.
very energetic MC did, and it was a good presentation where, like, oh, here is like C-suite, like some important guys like sitting around the table, and like CIO is like pointing mouse and clicking, and voila, something with
Oh
amazing of
yes,
HANA
yes.
and cloud and whatever. Like, behold, here is our sales, figures for
The,
something.
the
Like,
digital boardroom. I remember that
yeah,
so well.
like, like, what happened to it? Like, does anyone actually have like digital boardroom anywhere? Because it was like for several years it was everywhere, but then like boom, just gone. It's like non-existent. So I don't know. Every time like, like whatever happened to that? But all right. So since we have just a little bit of time left before before we go for too long, I think, since
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have greatest minds of ABAP world, except for Lars Schwem,
Well,
who is
and I
not
by
with
the way,
us
I'm here
today.
too, guys,
And
just
yeah,
so you know.
and
Yeah.
Paul, greatest
And
minds of
me.
ABAP, and Paul, including Paul Moderman. Um, I wanted to show you one thing. So again, there was lots about AI in TechEd, and ABAP surprisingly made an appearance. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen this post before. Um, so this is something that someone, not an ABAPer, posted on SAP community. It was linked by someone on LinkedIn, and that's how I found out about it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have seen it. Um, and I did post my opinion about it. It wasn't honestly very flattering. Not to the person. I mean, it's fine. Honestly, nothing against them. They tried, they shared, but I'm just looking at it as a professional developer, just looking at whatever they got here. So I don't. Did you guys see Jim and Paul Hardy and Paul Modern? Did you see this before?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I don't know
this
if I
is
saw this
I'll
post,
give
but
you
yeah.
just like a TLDR version of it. There's you can just go and look at it. Let me give you the link quickly. But so this is a person who is admittedly not an ABAPer at all. They clearly have almost no idea about how anything works in SAP. They are knowledgeable about OData, I guess, and integration, but otherwise, like, no idea. And they are saying they try to do something with SAP plant maintenance certifications, and standard API didn't work for them for some reason, and they went with this approach for some reason to do whatever they needed to do, and they just completely vibe coded the whole thing. So and yeah, they say here a standard API, but they didn't like it. And what happened here, so obviously ChatGPT immediately took them to SEGW model. And I still don't know whether this person actually works in ECC or in S4HANA. In S4HANA, that would be, I think, totally wrong approach. In ECC, that's still fine. So let's leave that piece. But then I'm just looking, okay, starting with definition, nothing here is linked to the actual data element, so you lose a lot of functionality with that. Then they're building create entity logic, and I mean, if ABAPers are watching, you know immediately what we're talking about here. Of course, Hungarian notation, very kind of old-fashioned code. I mean, it does a job somehow, but let's say one glaring problem any ABAPer would notice right away, for example, this piece, like it just nothing happens with it. It's like
Yeah.
it's like okay,
It just
you
gets
know,
handed off to the next
yeah,
one
it's
and
just
obliterated. Yeah.
yeah, just ignoring any
Hmm.
errors that might happen. And so that's pretty much it. And then it just claims it's create notification, even though that could have been there could have been problems there. And of course, there was more to it because they were talking about we also need to save the text, and I'm like, oh, that's a part that I'm actually interested in, but that's not really covered here. So then they implemented Vue, and they also let me see. Did they actually share the code? So they shared that you can call a method to add the text, but I don't see the actual code that does it. They say they use save text for it. That's all the information we got. So I don't know. I gave my thought on this, but I'm curious, Jim, and two polls, especially. What is kind of your first reaction to seeing something like this? Let's say, Jim, you're on top of my picture list. So let's start with you.
Uh, I'm afraid that this is a little bit more than I can swallow at the moment,
Mm,
so I don't know that I can offer anything intelligent right now. So I'll hand that off to Paul Hardy. If
Right, okay. I've got this is very clear to me. This guy says, I don't know anything about ABAP, so
yeah,
I shall let the AI do everything. Right. And I don't know if it's right or wrong. Right. That's
yeah,
that's the point. Like the return tables, which are completely ignored. I noticed there were
yeah,
two in a row there. Right. And he wouldn't, if he's not an ABAPer, as he freely admits, he wouldn't know that's wrong, is it? Because the AI said so.
yeah,
Right. If the computer says yes, so it must be right.
yeah,
Right. That's a horrible, horrible, and you might get this more and more as time goes by.
yeah,
That's the thing. You're letting relying on the AI to do this and the AI to do that, and not thinking about it in the slightest. And
I might add, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Paul, but I might add what you just said about is it right or wrong? Does it say in here anywhere whether or not after it was generated, was it subjected to uh, code inspector or to the extended syntax check or anything like that that could have told them what kind of problems already exist in the generated code?
yeah. It doesn't look like it. That was kind of also my question. So did you just was it like an experiment? Did you actually go with it? But the title had I shipped it, so I'm like, oh crap! I hope that didn't go to
mm,
production anywhere because that would be obviously kind of a problem. And they also don't say anything about the testing because I think any test could have easily discovered a lot of problems with this code. So I'm kind of curious. I posted a comment here, but the author didn't really provide lots of details. So yeah, that's a good point. Like there definitely should be some kind of control over this
but
for
I think
sure.
what we're back to here is the ever popular citizen developer thing.
Yeah,
It's been going on for like it's not a new thing. It's been going on
Yeah.
for like donkey
yeah,
years, right? And then they said, "Oh well, let's take the pressure off the real developers. Let's let the end users write the code. Why
yeah.
don't we?" And
This is, oh, sorry. Sorry, Paul.
it always ends in tears. That's all I've got to say.
This is to me, this is an example of like somebody who is starting to get maybe a taste of like what's possible with AI doing stuff, but they're applying it to the wrong thing, right? Because if you're gonna vibe code or whatever this person is doing, that belongs in your personal Excel spreadsheet, not in a shared system
Mhm.
that other people are using,
Yeah,
right? Um, because I mean, there are perfectly valid ways and interesting ways to use AI to help you along for productive things. But if you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be putting it in a system. You should just be like trying it for yourself in a little isolated environment that you can monkey with. It shouldn't be going to a place that other people will be using when you yourself cannot verify its veracity, right? Um, if you want to learn some things about like what this person maybe should have done rather than like saying, I published this to my team to use or whatever, that maybe they could have been like, I use this to help me like learn some factoids about how ABAP does things. That could be something.
Yeah.
You could learn a little bit,
Yeah.
To
right?
become an app
But
apper.
you could, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
you could legitimately at least. I mean, I wouldn't say like go do all of your training via AI in this way with that, but you would if you were starting at zero, you would have learned a lot from this,
Yeah.
right? But the vibe coding belongs in personal environments, not in production
Yeah.
environments.
Yeah.
And again, if you look at the generated code, right, rather than saying, "Oh, well, it works, great," you should go through it and say, "What's this bit mean? What's that
Yeah.
bit mean?
Yeah.
What's it doing?" I
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
don't think it was the case here.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I would say that shift part, that's kind of like that
Scary,
that kind of
scary.
scared me.
Because ship implies shipping to a customer.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I hope there are no customers that had to kind of suffer through that, because that would be no bueno, let me put it that way. Awesome. So, all right. So we had like really good conversation, almost an hour. So let's just wrap up with, let's say, kind of an aftermath of TechEd. So I know that Paul Hardy already shared with us some of the items that are your takeaways from the event. But for others and our viewers, please also feel free to share with in the comments what are your kind of takeaways and thoughts after the event. But let's say, well, TechEd kind of ended in Berlin, in Australia, in the US. What now? Like, what is the next step for you? Is it just go back to the dungeon, or do you feel some kind of I don't know seismic shift in your world? What are your feels like about that? And Paul Hardy, I see you definitely have something to say there.
Just one final thing, which I had on my list, which I haven't mentioned, and this was announced at the TechEd thing, is traditionally a lot of the new features, like especially in AI, have been tightly coupled to the version of ABAP you're on.
Mm,
So if you're on, I don't know, S4HANA 1809, you couldn't have something that was
yeah.
available, 2025, say. SAP are planning to, and it was announced at TechEd, planning to decouple that. All
Mm,
right. And that the AI thing will be on a BTP service, which interrogates your system to find out which version of S4HANA you're on. And then we'll if you get a new feature, it doesn't really matter. And the idea is it downports even to ECC6, right? Whether this works or not is a different kettle of fish, but that's their plan to remove the tight coupling. Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So for me, something that I kind of am reflecting on a little bit with this stuff is, and Jim, I think your comment earlier about VS Code and Eclipse and stuff that kind of highlighted for me is that like there I think is like if you look at sort of web dev or other engineering programming environments out there in the world, um, there is like people can kind of move together. The senior level people and junior level people can kind of move together along the technology spectrum.
Mm,
In SAP land, I think that might be a little bit different, right? Because the vast difference in the ages of the systems that people are dealing with, and then the folks who have the requisite experience to deal with them, versus the up and comers who are familiar with the VS codes and the eclipses and things like that. Like I think I get this slight sense that there's almost like two or maybe more than two sort of parallel universes operating at the same time, right? Because I think there are people who are genuinely excited, like, oh, good, I'm up in Eclipse finally, or not Eclipse, in VS Code, awesome, that's really cool. And other folks who are like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like it never helped. Like I don't use VS Code otherwise. Why would I
Yeah.
care about it here, right? Um, and I think that might live for quite a while. These parallel universes where ne'er the twain shall meet. In those things where you might have a pile of people in your org or in your service provider or whatever who are the VS Code enthusiasts, the hot stuff enthusiasts, and then the folks who are productive, powerful, and used to the SAP GUI, SE80, SE38, SE24, all the goodies from years past, and perfectly adept at producing equally performant, equally useful code in different worlds. Uh, and I think actually it's okay, but I see like little clusters forming in the graph of those things.
Yeah.
That's my reflection, I think.
Yeah. I think some star
I did
realignment is
remember my
happening.
thought,
Yeah.
if I
Oh
could
yeah,
Oh,
good.
yeah.
interject.
Sweet.
And what Paul was talking about is at TechEd, they made the announcement that now you can be on different releases of software, and they'll now find a way to communicate with each other. Paul and I talked about that last week, and I wasn't exactly sure what they had in mind there with the technology. But it made me think back to 40 years ago when I used to be a mainframe programmer,
Mm.
that we had already done that. And so the thought crossed my mind is like, why are they only now saying this as
Uh-huh.
a new capability and touting it so much when I always thought that was something that you just did by default.
Right, right.
I think that's a curse of aging, that things are like, hold on a second, I think we already had that before. It's just the same thing, just in different wrapper now. Nothing is new anymore. It's yeah, that's how technology world seems to operate. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Our special guests, especially Paul Hardy and Jim McDonough, and yeah, and thank you everyone who took the whole hour to watch this podcast uh, about SAP TechEd, and make sure to like and subscribe to our newsletter, buy us coffee, and all of that. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.